Former U.S. President Donald Trump has pled not guilty to 37 felony counts related to his alleged mishandling of classified documents. Trump making a brief court appearance today in Miami after officially surrendering. He was later released. Outside the courthouse, there were supporters and protesters on hand to mark the first time a former U.S. president faces federal charges. Let's bring in Tevi Troy, a presidential historian and a senior fellow at the Bipartisan Policy Center. He also served in the George W. Bush administration. Nice to have you on Primetime Politics.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So today, legally speaking, was a small first step in what could be a long process. But as you take in the whole scene today, inside the courtroom and outside that courthouse in Miami, what stands out?
Well, it's just a bit of a mess. Obviously, it's not good to have a former president indicted. You've got protesters on both sides. You've got TV cameras. It's a small courtroom. There wasn't a lot of room to accommodate all the people who wanted to be in there. Obviously, the international media, including Canadian media, is watching as well. I just think it's a sad day for our republic, and I wish we were not at this point. I hate the idea of criminalizing political differences. I also hate the way that the former president has behaved in terms of the way he deals with classified information. Nicole Wallace said on her show that the president's now been indicted more times than he was elected. It's a kind of pithy line. So it's I have this conversation with you with no joy in my heart today.
Right, and Mr. Trump already faces criminal charges in New York for allegedly trying to cover up hush money payments. But here, you're talking about the scene today. He's facing federal charges as a former president accused of harming U.S. national security, which is a U.S. president's ultimate responsibility. Give us some context on what today means as a moment in American history.
Yeah, well, these charges, I think, are much more serious than the charges in New York. I think that if this goes to trial, he's likely to get convicted. I'm not a lawyer, I'm a historian, but Bill Barr, who was Attorney General under Trump and has defended Trump in many circumstances, but is also willing to call him out when he's wrong, has said that this is a very strong indictment. You can't mess with classified material. I worked in the White House, as you said earlier. You don't bring those papers out with you. Doesn't matter if you're a former president, you don't have extra leeway to keep presidential papers. You certainly don't have extra leeway to keep national security secrets. And according to the indictment, Trump, again, allegedly knew that he didn't have the ability to declassify materials, that some of these things were top secret, and he was kind of showing them off. And then also, he supposedly was told by the Department of Justice which papers he had to return, and he chose to hide some of those papers. So what you have there is in contrast to, let's say, Joe Biden, who was also found with classified materials, or Mike Pence was also found with classified materials. I don't know what's with this this epidemic of people having classified materials at home, but those people, when they were told to return the materials, they returned the materials, and Trump did not act that way. So as usual, Trump is being his own worst enemy. We hear that he's having trouble getting a lawyer, A, because he doesn't usually pay his lawyers their fees, and B, because it's a difficult case, and he keeps talking, which always makes the job harder for a lawyer. So it's just a very challenging situation for the former president, but he seems undeterred. He blames it all on witch hunts and everybody's out to get him. But at some point, you have to take responsibility for your own actions.
Okay, let's talk about the politics of this. The polls do continue to say Donald Trump is the frontrunner for the GOP nomination. Top Republicans were coming to his defense when news of this indictment broke last week. We've heard candidates running against Donald Trump say they're willing to give him a pardon if they were to win. Now that the details of this indictment have been out, now that Mr. Trump has been indicted, has gone to court, has been arraigned, is there any change in what Republicans are saying right now?
Yeah, I kind of love those promises to give him a pardon, because it presupposes that those people are going to beat him in the primaries and that Trump won't be the next president. So it's kind of an easy promise to make. Well, if I destroy you in the primaries, then I'll happily give you a pardon down the road. It's kind of like wimpy. I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. So I wonder about those promises. Look, I think when someone is indicted in a normal circumstance, that makes it harder for them to get elected, to get the votes of the American people that they need in order to get the position that they are seeking. In Trump's case, it seems that sometimes when he gets these attacks against him, whether it's an impeachment or an indictment, it seems to galvanize as many supporters. You talked about people who go on the air. I mean, the talking heads of the world, the non-elected officials, the think tankers, the journalists, all those people, even on the Republican side, they don't seem to be defending him on this one. But those voters, that strong block of Republican primary voters that he seems to have a tight hold on, they seem to think that he's being treated ill as he has been in the past. There have been circumstances where, let's say, that Alvin Bragg indictment in New York was something that seems like not a righteous indictment. And so those people get mad on his behalf. And at this point, they are continuing to support him. However, I don't think anybody really wants a twice indicted person as the next president. I don't think they want people who's cavalier with classified information or with state secrets. So I think there's still a lot of time to play out in the presidential primary process. We'll see if he even shows up on the debate stage. The first debate's going to be in August. So right now he does have the plurality of votes within the Republican primary, not a majority. And he is right now the most likely person to be the next Republican nominee. But I don't think that's by any means a lock and a guarantee that he will be that nominee.
All right, clearly a lot of legal proceedings to watch for and a lot of political developments to watch for in the coming weeks and months. Tevi Troy, I want to thank you so much for your insight tonight.
Thanks for having me.